Good day, everybody. Today we're going to do lesson plan 6, term 2, grade 4. The topic is common fractions, diagrams and additions of fractions, and we're going to look at DBE worksheet 34. Then we're also going to look how it links to the CAPS. Here's then your link. Then I'm just going to scroll up like this. So at this point you can pause, because here you're going to see which resources you need. And then we always have, did you know, an interesting fact, that's to create a love for mathematics and to see the beauty of mathematics. And then the dictionary. Now the dictionary always got a word for understanding the concept a bit better. It's also for you to help you with your teaching of your child or your class at school. So pause here and read through these. Okay, welcome back. So today's lesson, we're going to start with mental maths. Remember, we always want children to become mentally fit. So we're going to do a bit of mental maths. You can answer this orally, or the children can answer it orally, or they can write it down. So pause and see how quickly you can answer these 10 questions. Welcome back. I'm quickly going to reveal the answers. You can pause and then you can mark your answers. Okay, let's start then with today's lesson. Today's lesson, we're going to look at common fractions, but we're going to introduce it by looking at the fraction of a number. So we're not going to divide a circle into halves or quarters or eighths, but we're going to look at what's the fraction of a specific number. So let's look at this picture. So we can just share the 12 counters amongst 3 children. So we got 12 counters and we're going to share it. So if we should share 12 counters amongst 3 children, we have thirds. Each child gets 1/3 of the counters. So each child get 1/3 of the 12 counters. 1/3 of the counters is 4. So each child will then get 4. So we can also say 12 divided by 3 equals to 4. I want you to pause the video now. You can repeat this activity, but then what you're going to do is you're going to do the next one where you share the 12 counters amongst 4 children. You can pause, and then we're going to carry on. Okay, let's look at the concept development. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at where we divide a shape equally. In this case, we divided the shape equally. Yes, that's correct. So we divided into halves. I just added another one here. You can work with the rectangle or with the circle. What we try to do here is that we don't always think of fractions only as circles or only as rectangles. We can use any shape that we can divide equally into a specific number of pieces. So in this case, 1/2 is orange. So here on the rectangle, and here 1/2 of the circle. So 1 divided by 2. So what we had here is we got 1 pizza divided by 2 is 1/2. So let's rather look at this one as a pizza. We can write it then, because we just said 1 divided by 2. So we write it as 1 divided by 2 equals to 1/2. We write 1/2 as 1/2. So 1 divided by 2. I want you to pause quickly and then go over this. Welcome back. Let's look at the next example. So the next example, we got one shape that's equally divided into 3 pieces, or one circle that's equally divided into 3 pieces. So, and each of those pieces are equal. So 1/3 is blue. If we look at this shape, the rectangle, 1 divided by 3 is 1/3. So we say 1 divided by 3 is 1/3. So let's write it then in symbols. So 1 divided by 3 equals to 1/3. We write 1/3, the word, as 1/3, or 1 divided by 3. I want you to pause here now and explain exactly the same, but I don't want you to focus on the 1/3. I want you to focus on the 2/3, the white part of this fraction. It's time to pause. Welcome back. So we're going to do the next one. Here, this rectangle is divided into 4 equal pieces, and this circle is divided into 4 equal pieces. You can work with the one you like or is the best for you. So we're going to say 1/4 is green. 1 divided by 4 is 1/4. So if we're going to take this and write it in symbols, we're going to say 1 divided by 4 equals to 1/4. And then we write it as 1/4 as 1/4, or 1 divided by 4. I want you to pause here, explain exactly the same as what I did, but now you're going to use the white parts, 3/4. After you're done with this, you're going to do it with these 4 activities as well. I want you to pause. Okay, so the next step is we're going to add fractions. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the number board here. And I want you, when you work with these pieces, now here the pieces are green and here the pieces are purple. So when you work with the pieces, I always want you to see it in relationship to the whole. Now for this activity, we just explained it like this, but I always want you to pack it on your fraction wall. This is what we call a fraction wall. So here we got 1/4 plus 2/4. So we got 2/4. So we see that we have 3/4. And then we can ask the question, how many quarters to make then 1 whole? So we can add another quarter to make 1 whole. So let's look at, for example, thirds. I've got 1/3 plus 1/3. It gives me 2/3. I need how many thirds to make a whole? I need another third. So a third plus a third plus a third is a whole. I want you to pause here and make then your own activities similar to what I just did using the board. You can pause. Okay, welcome back. So now what we're going to do is, I just want to write this notice here to you. We're going to look at these number sentences, and using the board, you should be able to show every time that the denominator is the same. So the denominator is the bottom part. I just quickly going to bring the board back. So what we need to see that the denominator, so when I say 1/4 plus 2/4 is 3/4, the denominator stays the same. So if I'm going to say a half plus a half, it's 2 halves. So the bottom number still stays the same. So what I want you to do now is, I want you to pause the activity and then you do all 6 of these number sentences orally. Let me just move it a bit so you can see the board. Okay, it's time to pause. Okay, welcome back. So what you're now going to do is you're going to do the activities then in your writing book. So these first 2, it's to do with the fraction of a number. So you're going to follow these questions or guidelines, and you're going to complete it. It's similar to the first activity we did in this lesson. Then what I want you to do is, this is also similar to what we have done. So I want you then to complete A to H. And then I want you to add these fractions. Now again, what you can do is, or you can add it, or you can use a board like this. You can always go to our SA Teacher eStore and you can go and download it. So it's time to pause here and then you complete the activities. Then the next activity will be the problem solving. So I want you to solve the problem. Again, is you might need some drawings. I will recommend that you make some drawings and then you solve this. This is again is, I have 48 sweets. I want to divide it among 6 friends. Remember, is here where we work again with a fraction of a number. I want you to pause. Okay, let's carry on then with the extra activities. So what we have here is we have old exam or test paper questions. And then for the remediation, we have an example here that you can work through. You can pause for those learners that are struggling, and then you can go step by step through it to support you. Let's then end off with the consolidation. So if you answered yes, you carry on with the next lesson. If you answered no, you need to revise, revisit some activities or questions, or contact us at SA Teacher for support.